Welcome to the book interview on Money Life, where today we are talking with Lane Martinsen, the author of The Holistic Retirement Planning Revolution. Now, if you want to learn more, you're going to go to his firm's website. That's martinsenwealth.com. And you can follow him on Twitter. He's at Lane Martinsen. And I know that holistic investment and holistic wealth, not something that we've spent a lot of time talking about, but Lane's book, one of a couple that have come out that look at the subjects in different ways. I would say they're one of a couple, and some of those couple I haven't wanted to talk to anybody about because I thought, not so much. This book, really interesting. Again, if you want to learn more, martinsenwealth.com. Lane Martinsen, welcome to Money Life.
Hey, thank you, Chuck. It's great to be here.
So, when people talk about something being holistic, it's typically, if it's from a medicine standpoint, it's the treatment of the whole person. We take into account, medical and social factors and everything else rather than just, what's the disease and what are the symptoms of the disease? If we think about it from a holistic philosophy standpoint, we're thinking about everything is intimately connected and you don't worry about anything as the parts, you only worry about the whole. So when we start to talk about holistic retirement planning, how much of this is based in what's going to happen in the numbers versus how much of this is holistic, like some people want it to be like touchy-feely? Because when I was looking at the book, it was not like, hold it, we're gonna somehow get zen with things. It was very much focused on numbers.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, so the holistic planning in the financial sense, it's really looking at the total wealth framework. So not just looking at investment accounts, it's all everything, right? So it would certainly include a mortgage and health care, Social Security, Medicare, all the different parts that make up our financial world. And it's really, instead of getting what I call a la carte, financial advice for kind of one specific area, it's creating synergies with taking all those different components into a comprehensive plan. And as a result, we create efficiencies when we're doing it in a holistic way.
Well, those efficiencies, as I was reading the book, they are palpable. They are not just, we're doing this and we're getting some sense. I mean, you guys basically are saying we can deliver better returns and significantly better, like double-digit better returns. Explain how that's happening.
Yeah, so we're not necessarily talking about market returns. We're talking about additional income. So in the investment world, we're all very familiar with alpha and beta, right? That's the heart of the conversation. But Morningstar academics did a study a few years back, and it's called Alpha, Beta, and now Gamma. And so Gamma is the word that Morningstar uses. It's a word to measure additional income that will result from holistic planning. And so most of what we do is distribution planning. So, you've got the two sides of the mountain, and, if we're talking about accumulating and saving for retirement, that's one conversation and strategies. But as we get closer to retirement and we start to look down the other side of the mountain, we realize, okay, we're actually going to start spending this money, and how much can we spend, and is it going to last and throughout our, full life expectancy? And so it's really about the distribution planning is kind of the focus of the book, and how do we make sure that we can truly create efficiencies. So with the Morningstar study, they were able to document that a 22.6% additional retirement income over a non-holistic approach. And so that's kind of a big deal, right? The 22.6% is actually low from what I have experienced, but they used 5 criteria,
right,
that we mentioned in the book, and there's many more elements that go into the planning that can create even much more than that.
Help my audience understand Gamma. Now, I don't want to get bogged down in alpha versus beta versus gamma versus whatever, because some of my audience understands those concepts and some don't, and I don't want to get involved in the Greek alphabet. But when I say help them understand Gamma, Gamma was there. was something that people were doing. It had just never been quantifiable before, right? So that the real idea of gamma here is not that this couldn't have been done before. It's that before, people didn't necessarily know that they could isolate this out and take these holistic processes that would then help them, again, not generate more in market returns, but be more efficient, better investors who generate more in income and whose portfolios do better as a result, right?
Yes, they've always been there, but not necessarily really used in a really comprehensive planning approach. So let me give you an example. So when we do retirement income planning, we really have to be forward-looking, and we've kind of got to try to anticipate what are the risks, what are the issues that could deplete our assets prematurely. For example, one of those things, taxes are certainly a big deal. With our national debt, almost to hit 23 trillion here soon. Our deficit spending is, we're spending $1 trillion beyond what's coming into the Treasury, right? And so we have this fiscal imbalance. We have shortfalls in Social Security, Medicare. So we've got these looming problems, and right now we have historically low tax rates. And so as Americans, that have followed the traditional advice, they've been saving for retirement in deferred accounts, right? IRAs, 401ks, and it's tax deferred, deferred. And deferred till when, right? Deferred until years later in retirement. So we are of the opinion that tax rate risk is a risk and that it's a variable, right? So, if you've got $1 million sitting in your 401k, how much of that are you actually going to be able to spend? And the answer is you don't know, because you don't know what the future tax rates are going to be, because you're going to be taxed on that as ordinary income at whatever the tax rates happen to be in the year, then you make distributions. And so tax rates being higher in the future is certainly a risk, and I would even say a strong likelihood based on kind of where we're headed. So if we can take advantage of our low tax rates, if we can do some Roth conversions and we can get into tax-free accounts using Roth and so forth, and that ends up saving us, it could end up saving us a significant amount of money down the road. So that's just one particular area that we would look at, or we discuss in the book.
For folks who are trying to come up with this, how different would you say holistic planning is from something that doesn't have that label? It is a label that's being put on, and obviously my folks can read the book and find out about it. But I'm curious, how dramatically different is what you consider the holistic retirement process from the standard retirement process?
It's quite different. There's two parts to it, what I would consider true holistic planning. One is, yes, we're going to have a plan and consider all the aspects of your financial life, your housing and healthcare and all those things. But we're also want to have a holistic approach with the financial tools that we use, meaning we really want to be product agnostic. And so, the industry, by tradition, has been kind of two major schools of thought, right? There's the investment advisors who are generally using stocks, bonds, mutual funds to create a retirement plan. And then you have the insurance industry who will use annuities and life insurance and they're kind of two different schools of thought. Licensing is different, companies are different, and so there's kind of this debate and conflict that goes on between the two. But the truth is, both sides have strengths and both sides have weaknesses, and it's really about identifying, what are the strengths that you need in your retirement plan. Is having some guaranteed income as an alternative to using bonds a good idea in our low interest rate environment. So we like to be product agnostic and use all available tools to create a retirement plan that is going to reduce risk, create efficiencies, and the end result is quite remarkable of what can be created. The 22.6% more income has been quantified, and I'm telling you, that's a low number, because there's, when you take into account housing wealth and even reverse mortgages, that a lot of people have some of these concepts and thinking, oh, that's a terrible thing. but they don't know how much things have changed. Laws have changed. Financial products have changed. There's a lot of innovation going on in these areas that a lot of folks just aren't aware of, and so that's what we talk about in the book.
Yeah, the book is interesting. It is The Holistic Retirement Planning Revolution. The author, Lane Martinsen. Lane, thanks so much for joining me to discuss it.
Hey, thank you very much for having me, Chuck. Appreciate it.
If you want to learn more about the Holistic Retirement Planning Revolution, go check out the website for Lane's firm. It's martinsenwealth.com. He's on Twitter at Lane Martinsen. It's all linked up with the Money Life Show recent and upcoming guest page. We'll be right back with more Money Life in just a moment.